heroes
of
humility, 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 humility. This is not a charade. This is real. These words you are about to hear are coming from real humans on a mission to save the human race from itself. Buckle up while these delusional heroes of humility, aka hoes, attempt to right the wrongs in everyday human behavior. You guys were watching Pierce spectators as I took one for the team and hurt myself during one of our promos. I don't know that we need those. Did it look like I jacked my hamstring pretty good when I was at the end of that run? Could you guys hear anything?
Because you try to turn those jets on once you got right by us.
Yeah.
I saw it. I even mentioned it.
turn the jets on and the engines went out
As
there.
soon as you passed us.
Just flamed out.
I guess what the listening audience should know is that we were doing some video. We're going to be putting more video on the YouTubes, and we thought that we should do a few action videos to try to establish our desire for excellence. And unfortunately, during that execution, there was a small sound and a feeling of tearing and ripping, and not in a good way, right at the bottom part of my back left hamstring. So
I thought that was
ice pack crackling during the show. You know who's sitting on it.
I thought that ripping was your shorts, considering how tight they were, but apparently that was your hamstring.
I mean, I've never looked at another guy's shorts that closely, but I mean, if that's what you saw, the thing is that
You don't want to know what he saw.
I wasn't running that hard.
I saw too much.
You saw a lot, dude. Let's not get crazy. You saw a lot, but the other thing is, I had to get one of those massage guns, dude. And get, oof, yeah. And I'm sitting on ice, man. This is not.
Oh, we got a picture from Red. He sent us a picture.
Of me sitting on the ice.
Of your
of the
physical
after action.
Yeah, your physical therapy session
Oh,
afterwards.
okay. How's everybody doing? Thanks for making the ride, Red. We appreciate it.
Hey, I'm always willing to sacrifice.
Well, just not as much as Pierce did today, but Beige, you doing good?
Doing good, yeah.
11 has to get on the ropes.
Hammies are in good shape. So
Yeah, you guys just watch while
My
people
hammies
hurt
feel great.
themselves for the
How about you,
podcast.
Red?
Yeah, my hammies are fantastic.
Yeah, good hammies.
Yeah.
It's nice to be healthy.
Well, you haven't run since you were 13 years old.
Wow.
I don't have to.
Yeah.
good.
Have you seen the size of him?
I know. He just looks at people and they run. Yeah, this ice underneath my left hamstring is a little bit, I feel it diminishes my cred, but nobody can see it. I shouldn't be telling anybody.
Be careful it doesn't get too close to the boys.
On this podcast, what we're supposed to be talking about, provided we get to it, is always people out there trying to get you. I guess a better word for them would be scammers. It's kind of a scam city almost every moment that I leave my house, and even when I come back to my house, because I watch a YouTube video. I go to buy a special potion for my hair, and they're saying, hey, yeah, you've got to go ahead and wait in line for the Black Friday deal. And the next thing you know, you're like, oh, okay, this is some elite thing. Hang on, I got to turn this off. This is distracting me. We have lasers in here for some reason. Okay. So, yeah.
Laser.
I mean, it's a Star Wars room.
Star Wars
of course we have lasers.
Yeah, that was a stupid thing to say.
I only needed eyeglasses after this show. I wonder if that's contributing to it.
Everybody
sounds like
gets
a lawsuit.
hurt.
Yeah.
Everybody's getting hurt
It's
for
a
the
lot of
podcast.
liability.
It's only a matter of time before the other two get hurt. Red has a retinal issue.
I have a retinal issue.
Yeah, a rectum issue too.
Wait a second.
All right, I diverged. But yeah, so people, they just try to scam you, man. Yeah, I was buying something and it said, hey, you've got to go ahead and wait for your turn in line. So I felt like, I might be getting a good deal. So I'm in line and they say, sorry, your time has expired. And I'm like, because I tried to do something else in my life, during that, it was like a 49-minute window. And then I come back and they said, you'll have to reapply to get in line. And I thought, what are you buying tickets to Comic-Con? What's happening here? So I wait, and then they throw me back in, and then I put the items in my cart, and then I realize there's no discount. This isn't even one of the discounted items.
Was this a highly sought after item?
It was a Black Friday, and I don't want to get into the item too much because it's going to show what a shallow jerk I am about the product that I. But
I think the secret's out. Go ahead.
Well, that's rude. But yeah, I thought, well, I'm getting a good deal. Like they're making it look like I got an amazing deal, and then I go to check out, and it's no different. It's the same thing, and it's just a way to kind of bait and switch you in. Like I feel like I'm on the end of a fishing rod and just kind of waiting to be plucked, and then my head bashed in with a little baton, and then they throw me in a bucket, and I get with all the other fish. And every day you wake up, you're like waiting for who's the next person that's going to scam me, and just all the time.
That's you.
Well,
that happens.
If we
dude.
lose at
This whole
Rocket League,
episode-
if we lose at Rocket League, you're like those scammers.
Yeah.
yeah.
They had
Yeah,
to have
Because
cheated.
there's people
There's
that
no
can
way they
mess
can
with
beat
the server. They can interrupt your
That's true.
connection. And I don't know why people can't just go through their life thinking, you know what, today I'm going to get up and I'm not going to scam anybody. I'm going to be a virtuous human being that lives in civilization with the rest of the humans and just get whatever I earn, what I work for.
Well, speaking as a parent and kind of what you were talking about before, and like where they entice you to this website so they can sell you a bunch of other crap or something potentially. That is the online version of the candy at the checkout register with
Oh my
kids.
God,
That's
right.
horrible. It's like, so you make me, thanks person stocking the shelves here at Best Buy or whatever, you make me like
You know,
tell my kids no and be bad
I was thinking
dad
about
here.
this yesterday, and I was buying something online, and at the checkout, they're like, okay, you bought that already, but you can have another one for 50% off, or you can have one of these for 30% off.
Oh yeah.
It's like,
Dude, I just bought on
Suckered you in.
Amazon. I was going to buy one set of dishes, a set of 4 servings of plates and bowls, whatever, set of 4. Well, if you buy 3, then you get half off. So of course you have to buy 3, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you're just leaving money on the table.
Yep.
So, do I necessarily need 12 plates and 12 bowls and everything? Probably
You
not,
never
but
know.
it's such a good
there
deal
might
that
be
I
that one
yeah.
day.
It's such a good deal that I'm like,
I hate to think that there's any lack of virtue in Kirkland because I trust Costco with my life, but that they do that too because you're like, well, I know sauerkraut's good for me and it's a good probiotic. It's not like I'm just going to go put cabbage under the ground in my backyard and wait for it to ferment so that I can get that myself. So I'm going to go buy it. And they have the same exact brand in Sprouts, but when you go to Costco, they have it in a huge bucket.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, dude, I need to get that.
Well, see, where you make an error is you buy perishable items in a huge bucket, and now you're probably getting close to that expiration date, and now all you're eating is sauerkraut for the next 2 days because you're trying to not waste your perishable sauerkraut that you bought in a 5-pound bucket.
That does happen with some other products, but sauerkraut, FYSA, is just good forever almost. I mean, the expiration date, but there definitely are products like that you go and you're like, well, shoot, now I got to really go to town on this stuff. And there's probably a whole aisle in Costco that they probably don't want to necessarily stigmatize anything, but there's a prepper aisle where not only does it go from like the 3-month supply of sauerkraut, but you can get like a huge bucket
yeah.
of paste. It looks like peanut butter.
Yeah.
And
Get
if
the rations.
yeah,
the
God
ration
forbid.
buckets.
Right.
The powder's better. You just get the powder and you put a little water in that bad boy, and now you
What
got...
does it turn into?
Well, it turns into...
Eagle powers.
Pure nutrients.
No, it's that peanut butter powder, and you
Yeah.
can buy like
It
a
goes
jar
in
of
as
it, but
nutrients.
it would probably make like 100 gallons of peanut butter if you needed to, because
Oh,
it's
I
all
love
just
peanut butter.
powder to begin with.
Damn, I hate to get in the thing about peanut butter. What were you going to say, Red?
No,
Oh, sorry.
I agree. Was
I thought you
agreeing
meant-
with you.
I like it's good when people agree. Yeah, the the hydrogenated oils in peanut butter
disagree.
I've leaned away from because they were putting stones inside me. Now I hate to bring this up, but sometimes when I feel like somebody's really trying to scam me because I've been through hell with stones.
I hope they don't get.
Yeah, I always say
Those
very
scammer
kind of-
stones.
yeah, I say, oh, I hope that guy doesn't get stones. And like what I'm implying is I kind of hope he does. And that's evil, dude. See, that's what's
It's such like a dad joke thing to do, but for some reason I laugh every time. It's so stupid.
It's one of the most evilest things you can say because if somebody gets stones, it sucks, dude. If you're implying that
Maybe
you
because it's
wish-
just coming from you too. I
because
don't
I'm
know.
not a bad. Yeah, that's probably
like
because
like
I don't
that's
wish
about
harm on anybody.
that's about as bad as he's gonna get when he's talking about. when he wants something bad done to somebody.
Yep.
When they have to
Just
go in
passive aggressive.
and
I
either
hope you don't get stoned.
when they have to go in and decimate those stones or pull them out, it's no bueno. And that's diet, man. I was just getting way too many certain diet. Let's not get into that again. But yeah, there's certain things that if you just you go crazy on ballistic spinach, stuff that has toxic levels of oxalate in it. A whole show we could do an oxalate.
Wow. This
Yeah.
is turning into a
Probably not
health and fitness show.
a great
Very
podcast
exciting.
topic for Heroes of Humility, but we try to cover it all. And I know we don't want to spend too much time on the scam stuff, but I got a couple other ones, and these are the ones that. Okay, first of all, don't get me started on the phone stuff. They are always trying to spy on everything. I know this is a tired topic, but there's nothing you can do. And when you go to a website, there's two categories, right? You can either, just like a robot, say, click past it instead of reading their 30-page dictionary document on all of the cookies and stuff that you have to accept. I never play with that. I go in and I say, there's another small button at the bottom that says custom or review. I'm willing to wait. So I go in and I look at all the different cookies that I have the options, the strictly for the website operation, the advertising and all that. And I always click those off. And if they don't let me, after I deselect their cookies that they're trying to feed me like a little kid, then
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
use their website.
It's almost like a psychological thing because
Yeah.
cookies, right? That sounds
Yeah,
like I want
exactly.
some cookies.
Yeah,
you
like
know?
there's a guy in a van trying to give me cookies and he wants to tease me and taught me to go to his van. Dude, I'm not going to just walk into his van like a dum-dum. And
Not
be raped.
again.
Yeah, I'm not going to go through that again.
Fool me once.
Oh my god, they definitely get you because I had a relative of mine that was older and they were having problems with their computer, and they're older, so they only get on the computer to kind of do just like emails and some basic, maybe internet shopping, and so it kind of confused me to why they kept getting like a virus in their computer get locked up. And they told me, well, yeah, when I'm on my email, I have on the little right side, there's always like an ad that pops up, and I click on it whenever I find it interesting, and it's like, how many times have you done that? And then, like you said, it's a scam thing, and all of a sudden now you have no idea it's locking up their computer.
It's ridiculous.
And now you have to reboot it to start all over again of all the spam stuff that they get. And it's almost like everywhere you go, like you said, whether you're just trying to relax and you're sitting waiting at the doctor's office looking through your phone, you're getting scammed or spammed.
Dude, it's awful. Like, and 11's right. I can go on in this topic infinitely. If you've ever looked at eggs, and I think everybody in this room buys eggs.
Sorry.
Are you okay?
I think I'm dying.
Yeah.
I know this is an upsetting story.
Hit the dump button.
Yeah, when you go buy eggs, you'll see all kinds of preambles or like disclaimers, okay, which they're supposed to be positive. Like, hens were raised in a happy, psychologically safe environment. All creatures were roaming the earth of their own free volition in this sector. Organic feed, no hormones. And you look at that and you're like, well, okay. And now all the egg packages have it. Okay, there's no way all these people are putting these chickens in this type of environment. I'd like to imagine it, and there's a little rainbow over, and there's grass, but maybe playing some 80s rock in the background, and all these chickens are just having the time of their life.
Until someone grabs their little head and cranks them like an old Model A.
Well, we're just using those for eggs, so I think they're good.
I even want,
not for McNuggets or anything.
I even want my chicken to be
the paste.
killed, and maybe there's some just
Romantic music.
Pink Floyd playing in the background or something calming, and then all of a sudden, he doesn't even feel it coming. It's just like, or she.
You want it to be.
I should say.
You want it to be.
Oh my god, it's getting too.
You want it to be an honorable, honorable
like
death.
an honor thing. Yeah. I wanted
like
my chicken.
like
to go
what's
out
the
with some
Japanese
honor.
thing where the honorable.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Just take
you want that for the chickens.
Yeah, maybe give them the sword.
Yes.
And make them so happy that they just kind of fall on it themselves.
So much joy they take.
Yeah,
from.
they just take the sword, and if you can't, I know we're not video right now, but you just take the sword, the dagger, you're holding it in front of you.
With your
and
chicken
then
wings.
You go, and then somebody does a countdown, and maybe it's like with some 80s music playing, and you're 1, 2, 3, and then it just goes right into there, and then it's like, well, that's your chicken. I just think that all of these things being put on packages, I saw an investigation on the Wall Street Journal, which is where I like to get my news now, but I think either way, you're getting some jacked up news. Then they were saying that all of these manufacturers were misusing the green product description. So people who want to buy green products were finding out that these manufacturers really weren't producing whatever their widgets were greenly. So they were just falsifying that claim, and they were selling more products. So that was a thing, and that was affecting some. And then they got some bad publicity. So why can't we just, I buy these IV liquids. I'm sorry, this is like a rant now, but if anybody else wants to say something, just raise your hand.
11 does have to go sometime today.
Yeah. He's got to drive to LA. So there's these liquid IVs. Okay. Yes, they have good stuff in them. Yes, I know that they are advertised in a lot of other podcasts, and that's good. And I have some. And the reason I bought them is they started selling some that didn't have any sugar. Okay. They said no sugar. Like, all right, well, we'll give this a try. Guess what? They're just putting stevia in it. It's the same stuff. It's not exactly like artificial sugar, but it's still a sweetener that you don't need. You don't need to be polluting yourself with that. So to try to addict you to it, it's like,
damn scanners.
Yeah, sugar is like crack to people. It has the same effect. I know this is a very engaging,
yes,
but there's just so many of these, man. And I don't mean to go on. Okay. Wow.
Here we go.
I got another one.
Here we go.
So every morning I wake up to the sweet sound of motors. Yeah, the sweet sound. This is the sweet sound of like landscaping being done. Okay. And they start bright and early. I get it. It's hot.
Bright and early at noon for you.
That's too early. Yeah, that's almost too early. I get up at like a healthy 9.
Okay.
10:30.
8:30. But these guys are out there like at 7 or 6. And how many times can that bush get cut with a hedger? And what I realize is that these guys, they're coming out every other week.
Just cutting half a bush.
Yeah. And my neighbors are paying
I like to
them.
cut the full bush.
The bush looks perfect, but they're coming every other week. And it's like, because that they'll charge them, 60 or 70 or $100 every time they come. My yard is in the same habitat as my neighbors. I do twice a year. I've got my bushes down to twice a year, and I can keep them looking nice. They'll get a little bit big, but they won't get out of control.
I've noticed your bushes are very nice.
Yeah, we digress. But there's 2 times I need to go into my yard to really go at it. And then the guy told my neighbor, well, these particular plants have a lot of bees. The bees come there. So we're going to have to charge you extra to deal with the bees. So I guess that pays for the hazmat uniform that they have to wear when they go cut those bushes because of the African demonized man-killing bees, woman-killing bees. No, come on. And so he wanted to charge her an extra $50 that week for dealing with those bushes. So one morning...
And then he keeps the honey too, right?
Probably. Yeah, that's another scam, dude. So I just get up in the morning.
He's got a natural honey stand next day.
Yeah.
This guy.
Oh, what a coincidence.
I've seen that guy by the freeway before.
You think he's wearing a disguise to pretend like he's not the landscaper?
Those are my bees.
Yeah, he's wearing a mustache today. Now you don't recognize him. So I just went out and cut the bushes. And guess what? You just do it really early or later in the day when the bees go home. It's not a big deal, dude. But, they made it into a big deal. So they're charging people. They're overcharging people for landscaping. So
Well, and I think there's an element of every industry that does that. I mean, there's obviously good people in every industry that are honest and stuff. But, the whole thing a lot of times with mechanics, right? And like the little old lady that comes in there and takes her car and she doesn't know the first thing about vehicles, or little old guy or whoever doesn't know the first thing about vehicles and is totally relying on this person to tell him this is wrong, that's wrong. That's just kind of what we do in society a lot. We do hand over control to other people that quote unquote know more than we do because, we don't take the time to educate ourselves on what's actually wrong. And we just take the word of this other individual. And I think we'd all like to believe that these people are being honest with us, but there definitely is a segment of each profession. I think that they just kind of take advantage of people sometimes. So
you can't perform your own heart surgery. You've got to rely on the expertise of somebody else. They might see, who knows, dude?
But it's not like the heart surgeon goes in there and says, well, while I was in there, that liver's not looking too good. That's going to be about another $500 there. And
I had a situation,
the kidney,
when I was getting a stone, I had a stone issue. When I got to the hospital, they said it's going to be $50,000. And I said, I was told my insurance was covering all this. I mean, within network and all this and that. And they had given me what the estimated price was. And it was nowhere near that. So the lady's like, well, I was told that I have to ask you to write us a check. And I said, well, what would the check, what percentage? And she says, well, we can get you on a payment plan. But ideally, if you could write me a check for at least 30,000, that would be. And I was like,
What?
she was saying this like, so, yeah. So
Like, it's just like, oh, yeah, here you go. Here's
Yeah.
30 grand.
That's
so
all you need. Yeah.
the doctor
I
comes
mean, I
in.
can write you a check for 30 grand, but
Yeah, probably won't be able
it
to
ain't
cash
worth
it.
30 grand.
We could all live in the land of make believe, and I'll just hand you a piece of paper that says I owe you 30,000.
Like in Dumb and Dumber.
There you go. And so she was like, so I said, I just kind of smiled and I said, all right. So when the doctor came in to check on me before the procedure, I said, he's like, how you feeling? You know, we're going to take care of the stone. He's trying to reassure me. I was like, that's cool. That's good, doc. But you know, this lady wanted a $30,000 check and it's way over what do you know anything about that? And he's like, oh, I don't get involved in that part. Doc. I don't get involved in that part, Pierce, and he started to kind of stammer. And I was like, oh, I've never seen this side of this doctor before, right? I didn't like the way this looked. Yeah. So it bothered me. So I'll fast forward just to Cliff Notes. At the end of this story, I called my insurance company. I told them, I think there's a scam going on. I think these guys at the clinic, not necessarily my doctor's office, but the doctor's office knew about it, this one lady, and she never talked to me again. I complained and I said stuff to the doctor's office and to the doctor. And guess what? I ended up paying a total of $900 for that procedure. Out of my own pocket copay. Everything else was covered. And when I saw the entire bill with the insurance coverage, it was way less than $10,000.
That's one hell of a scam.
Yeah. Yeah. They wanted $40-some thousand for that procedure, dude.
Well, and I've heard situations, you know, when people are having a medical emergency or something, they get hit with an ambulance bill that's outrageous, or, you know, God forbid you have to get Aerovac somewhere or something. It's like, oh, well, you know, whoa. Was that Pierce?
Was that your hammy?
I have to keep repositioning in my chair because the ice pack that I have underneath my left hamstring, there's not a lot of room underneath me.
Paige's eyes got massive, right? He was like in the middle of talking.
All right, where was I?
So immature, man.
So
what were you saying, baby? Jeez.
So Aerovac, I've heard of people paying like $100,000 or whatever for these bills. It's like, yeah, you saved my life, but now my life sucks because I have $100,000 in debt, you know? So it's like, you know, that was a joke me and a few of my buddies had before. If you encounter me and I'm not, you know, able to respond or make decisions for myself, I'm going to write on my t-shirt, do not call the no medevac, please. You know,
don't exceed this dollar.
Don't exceed this dollar.
Emergency services.
Confirm with the emergency room physician that he's in network before
You wear one of those medical bracelets.
Because I mean, I've just heard horror stories on this stuff, and it sets people's lives back.
You're like
so
$1,000 limit.
$1,000
on transportation.
Exactly.
For medical costs.
Exactly.
Anytime you see your insurance bill, you see that they always try to uptick the price, and then you see what the insurance actually covers, and it's way less. Does this look awkward? I'm going to do the rest of the podcast standing.
This is a little distracting.
What,
to be honest
can you
with
describe? I mean, what you see?
It looks like you're picking a wedgie out of your butt from my angle
I'm
right
holding
here.
the
Actually,
ice on my hamstring, on my left hamstring. I think it's because my muscles were so big on my right side.
Oh yeah, just
on the left side.
Yeah, you were lopsided. I think. Yeah.
Did you guys see how fast I was running though? I mean, did it look pretty fast? Don't be a douche, dude.
No.
Don't be a hater. Be honest.
So if you see that footage in slow-mo, that's actually real speed, people. It's real
I've been
speed.
thinking about that joke the entire day, ladies and gentlemen. No, I was running, dude.
I like your running face. You see when people run, you always like everybody has a different running
what did my
face.
face
You
look
know,
like? Was
it
it
just
pretty
was
big?
very. It
You
was
start doing the
yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You're just very.
I'm
the
getting
circle
as much
with the
air,
mouth.
a lot of
You
oxygen.
ever
You're very. You're very
You-
stoic.
You like
and
to do
then-
that 1,000-yard stare like Tom
Yeah.
Cruise and his
Yeah, but then he
movies.
smacks into a wall. You look just like
And
that.
then your arms
blade-
are very rigid.
You
like,
blade the hand.
yeah, you blade the hands like you're just cutting through the air.
It's
you know?
proper form. I heard that. I'm sitting down. Is everybody all right? Yeah,
Yeah,
it's because
it's
of
better.
proper form, dude. It's not just necessarily because, you know, I think Tom Cruise runs like me. I don't run like him.
Oh,
But what I was saying
then
is
there's
that,
that.
yeah,
You've been a consultant on a few of those movies, I
Yeah,
think,
that's
right?
true.
Yeah, I've
They
seen your
asked
name
him.
in the credits.
Tom Cruise is your stunt
yeah.
double.
I think they did a few things wrong, but I don't try to be too critical. The last one was okay, but the thing is that when you're running, there is some stuff to good form. I saw a funny interview with him. They were talking about the guy that was in the room was an actual sprinter, and he revealed this to Tom. And so when they were talking, Tom just totally zeroed in. It was like a heat seeker missile, but just kind of was so fixated on the guy and said, "You're a runner? Oh man, I love studying running. I get up every morning and I do a run." So they were talking about the form and everything. And I was like, well, I did sprinting and I had a coach in college or in high school. And I never remember the coach going into that much. I mean, there were a few things, but anyway, they lost their minds and it was the weirdest thing. He kind of just went all, Tom Cruise on this guy during the interview.
Have you ever seen somebody like, say you're driving down the road and you'll see somebody running along the side of the road and you're like, that is the weirdest running style I've
You can
ever
tell when
seen
people
in
don't
my
run.
life.
The floppy
Or
hands.
like the hands are behind the back or something. And you're like, what are you like? That's just weird, man.
You can tell when somebody doesn't run a lot, their stride and all that. And it does look
They're
like
trying. No, they're
Yeah,
trying.
they're trying.
Yeah.
Good for them. I mean,
yeah, but I
Sometimes
mean,
it's like,
rude.
man,
Yeah,
you're going to hurt yourself.
I mean, it's not like I pull over and say, dude, seriously, like, look
I'm
at that.
gonna correct your
yeah, I'm going
form
to correct
now.
your form, or you know what you look like, buddy. It's just I critique them in my
Yeah.
head, and that's where we
You
leave
just
it. You know,
stick your finger out the window and go, ha ha.
Right.
You look stupid.
a lot of Heroes of Humility observations are like that. We don't necessarily want to hurt people's feelings, but we will do it on a podcast, nationally broadcast,
of course. But
because it's not
yeah.
like we're identifying them, but yeah, there's
Yeah.
certain things that you just,
hey, you lady in the pink shorts and the black tank top, you run weird.
damn.
You know who you are.
Yeah. I've seen
In
it.
this city, they're all yoga pants. In this city.
that's
Yeah, on Lee
I
Street.
think every city.
At 10 a.m. every morning, I see you. Yeah, I always that's why sometimes you'll hear us stammer just a little bit or hesitate, not to be ambivalent, but we're trying to be careful that we don't identify somebody. We don't make their names known or.
If we want to get back to the scam
Yeah,
topic, because we kind of went on
gotta-
a little tangent there, but
Yeah,
that's
like
fine.
per usual.
That's what we usually do.
Yeah.
What I have a problem with, and I don't know if anybody else does, but I hate it.
Uh-oh.
Hate it. When I go into a store and I see somebody outside selling something,
Oh,
or
yeah.
I'm just like, oh, it makes me want to like, oh, I'm at this Target here, like 2 miles from my house. You know what? I'm just going to go to the one 10 miles away because I don't want to deal with this person because I can't say no. And if I say no, I feel like a total D-bag. Oh, I'm just
I
too-
used to feel like that.
Oh,
At some
yeah.
point, you just got to like throw that away.
I know, but I still do. I still feel a certain
Or
way when I'm
before
just
they
like,
say anything, just say, no, we're good, dude.
yeah.
If you do
Then
it
they're
far
like,
enough
okay.
away from
But
them,
some are persistent, dude. Some are
I know.
persistent, you know.
Well, then they're
Like-
like, we're trying to save children. And
My-
you're like,
Yeah. Well, I mean,
How am I gonna-
Yeah. Because then if you're like, yeah, I don't want to. Oh, you don't like you don't want to save children, huh?
yeah.
Thanks,
Then
guy.
you're like,
Yeah.
I have no cash on me. And they're like, well, I got a card reader right here. I'm like,
yeah, I was
come
gonna say
on,
that.
man.
Oh, I do Zelle.
What do you do?
I do Zelle.
this is how you do
Yeah.
it. This is how you do it. You have to keep track of how far away can you be to give them the no thanks. And what I've noticed is I'll start to do it before I'm like even within their sector. So I'll look, some people kind of look away. You play the look away game.
Like, oh, I don't see you.
I don't do that. I look them. I make sure that we make eye contact. And I said,
Oh, you do the finger wave.
Sometimes I'll do the no wave.
Those Girl Scouts are probably just
Yeah.
feeling horrible, dude. No
or-
cookies for you today.
Well, I mean, they see a guy that's in this good a shape. Of course, he's not going to buy cookies. I mean, come on.
Thanks,
right?
Paige.
But he's got a lot of
Or-
ice on the back of his leg. He probably needs some nutrients.
That's true.
That's in the privacy of the Heroes of Humility studio. Or if you put up two fingers and you do wave like this, then it just looks like you're giving the peace sign.
or
it's
it
not as
means,
threatening.
I'll take two of whatever you're
Ooh.
selling.
Oh, yeah.
Now, what if you do
Two
this?
boxes.
What if the other thing?
They're like, oh, you want two? I'll bring you two.
Now the other thing you could do is you could do the full palm. And then it just kind of looks
5.
like you're
I'll bring you
waving.
5.
Okay.
But if you go like this, turn your
Yeah.
palm sideways, and you're blowing away something smelly, then
Yeah, it's very
it looks like
difficult.
then they're like, no, he doesn't want one.
You just-
or he looks like a lunatic, and I just want to stay away from this guy.
You got to make sure you use the right finger, though.
Yeah.
You can't.
Well,
not
if you
that
do the
one,
middle
yeah.
finger, that's
Whoa.
really
That's pretty
Oh,
bad.
yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing I've done, and I didn't mean to do it, but it really looked bad, is I went like this.
Oh, that's
you
a
can't
threat,
be
dude.
bothered.
Which
Like
is, I know this is a
chopping the neck?
podcast, but it's like, yeah, you're showing,
Chopping
you're
the
kind
neck.
of
Like you're
doing
gonna cut their.
how would you describe that? You're pointing your
Chopping
your
the neck.
fingers. Yeah, the
Wow.
chopping
Yeah.
the neck. So you're saying no.
Yeah, that was a
Yeah.
threat.
Cutting it off, like
And
you're cutting
in
it off.
downtown, there's a restaurant I used to like to go to. And from the parking garage, you have to cross the street and go by this pizza place. And there's always people out there
Oh yeah.
doing something, trying to get you to, and it's like a super high traffic
And
area.
you know the pizza place has to be in on it, right? Like they have to allow.
they
these
allow
people.
them, yeah.
Yeah.
And so
Right.
there's always 3 or 4 of them out there, and they will get you. They're super aggressive, man.
Ugh.
So it's almost like you want to like just walk around the pizza place and go through the alley
Yeah, but at a certain time, if somebody's super
It's like-
aggressive, you got to be like, look, I tried to be nice. I said no. Like, beat it.
The
Cut
first
it out.
couple
Yeah.
times, I was just kind of like, man, I feel. But after that, I'm just like, they look at me. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
They're like, all right, dude.
Yep.
I'll back off.
I kind of like. I kind of like
Get the
standing-
crazy eyes a little bit.
Wow.
There's
kinda
a lot
like
of movement
standing
going on.
You know,
over here.
Pierce is like that guy in the office
You're
that
making me
stands
nervous.
at his desk. You know,
Yeah.
he's got to be different from
Oh,
everybody
yeah.
else.
I do
That
Yeah.
became a trend in the
Yeah.
office. Everyone started getting those
Right.
desks there where you could like raise
I
them.
like to do
Pierce
that.
Pierce is that annoying guy standing
it's
at his
also an
desk,
intimidation.
right?
And then there's this guy that always would dance. He'd always have music going. He'd be
Oh,
like
wow.
dancing around and like doing. I'm like, I can't be near you.
Well, there's people that will play their music at work like loud enough for like people in the next cubicles to hear, and a lot of times I feel like a disproportionate amount of people that do that listen to 70s funk, or exactly, or maybe like cool jazz, you know, like too much,
You're
too
right.
much, like disproportionate.
You don't even understand this music.
Right? Yeah, you hear this saxophone? You gotta like this Kenny G right here.
Oh my god.
It's like, oh.
They're like, why are you sleeping at your desk? I'm like, it's this bullshit he's playing, dude. I don't know.
Yeah, but Pierce has his Veridesk or whatever going on right here.
I'm
That's
standing
up.
because the
Distracting
hamstring needs
everyone.
to be
He's
in a
doing
different
his
position right now.
his best Superman pose right now.
Well, I do like
hands
that.
on the hips.
I feel like it gives me more power too over
So-
you guys.
Pierce. Yeah, Pierce.
I'm standing.
you
Everybody
know,
else is sitting like a little bitch.
Pierce goes to the gym. You know, he's pretty slim
Rage.
and
Damn,
trim.
I
But
appreciate
turns out these are all for show. I guess
just
when he
glam
actually tries to
muscles.
use them,
He's
they
got
just
gym muscles.
snap in a hat.
Oh, wow. It's very easy for the
Yeah.
spectators today to make comments while one guy was running his hamstring.
His hamstring off.
You know what? Let's stay on topic. So, okay, there's one other thing, and we should probably get into our what would you do scenario because I know 11's got to go to LA. You know,
Yeah.
So, okay, this might help people. I'm sure everybody already knows about it. I know some of you guys aren't big Apple people, but Apple has this thing, iCloud, where you can hide your email. So whenever I do business with in one of these online websites to buy something, I use PayPal, but they always want you to put in your email address when you buy something so that they can contact you or give you updates about your purchase. Yeah, right. You're going to try to give my email to some other people and market it and blah, blah, blah. So now in iCloud, you just click on hide my email and it generates a fake email address for you. Then you provide that in their little box, their little legend box. You guys aren't going to get me like that, you know? Man, this is standing like this. It's a lot of power. So yeah, you just give them the fictitious email and it's all good. It's on the up and up. And then when you finish your transaction, they think you're at skippity doo dah iCloud, whatever. And you're just laughing the whole time because it's really being forwarded to your real email. I know this isn't brand new news to anybody. What's the best way to say that? Brand new news?
Breaking news.
Breaking news. Oh, there you go.
See?
Wow, wordsmith,
wow.
dude, a wordsmith.
Yeah.
But that's something I've been doing too. And I have a ton of hide my emails because nobody has my email, man. And that's just, I love it because anytime you can stick it to these guys, you know, I really stuck it to them with
Yeah.
that.
He
Stick it
loves
to
sticking it to guys.
Well, yeah, isn't it time for you to get to LA? I'm just kidding. Look, dude, I'm glad you made because I know it was a little extra thing and you set aside your plans today, but I'm glad it's bros over. I won't finish that, but appreciate it. And
Of course, I wanted to be here.
yeah, dude, we can't do a recording. We may have to do the next one if we'll make a
that's
decision on
fine.
that. But
Whatever you guys want to do.
now we should break into our what would you do? It's an exciting game where
I forget
we really
mine.
kind of dabble into the social etiquette and the knee-jerk or split-second decisions that have to be made in real life. We're not like here in the studio analyzing it, so nobody knows what scenario they're going to get. But everybody else either thinks one up, and one person talks long so everybody can think of a scenario, and then that scenario, each person presents to somebody who's randomly drawn out of a hat. That person has to listen to your scenario and say what they would do in that situation. I can go first. This way, people who may have not done.
I've got one too, man. I've actually
sweet,
did my
man.
homework today.
Wow.
Oh wow.
Mine's pretty simple. I actually keep a record of some of these on my phone.
Wow.
So this is one that came to mind a while back, and this is from my own life experience.
Oh wow, this is gonna get real.
Okay, back in another lifetime. Oh, wait a minute. I've got to pick the name of the hat first. You guys
Let's do
blew it. You weren't paying attention. So I'm going to pick a name out of the hat.
I'm saying he's going to pick his own.
Now the way this works is that whoever's name I pick is the one I have to make eye contact with, because what happens, we've noticed, is that everybody else wants to chime in with what they should be doing. But if this is for the person who I pick. And then after they give their shitty answer, pardon my language, then we all get to chime in and then say what, how we would, and help them along. It might be a good answer. Let me not be too negative. All right. It makes sense. Any questions? No, we've done this a few times. Okay. So I'm going to mix these up. I don't know. Oh, I got Pierce. Okay. Maybe we need
See, I told you. I called it.
What a stupid. Okay. 11. All right. I got 11. So this is the situation. Back in another lifetime, Pierce was a servant of the people. He used to bring out their meals. He used to take their orders. He used to get their drinks. He used to have to time that correctly with the appetizers and the dessert and the drinks. It's not easy. It's not an easy job. So I'm doing this waiting table stuff. And before I got into the waiting tables part, I was an expediter. And an expediter was somebody in the back of the kitchen that had to make sure that all the food got out hot and fresh. You got a question?
A comment.
Okay. This is an interruption.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I find it ironic that somebody that runs so slow is technically called an expediter.
Okay. Oh,
dude, I'll challenge you to a race right now
with your bum hammy. Okay, let's do it.
I'll still run. So, really threw the story off.
Oh,
just kidding. So I used to. I would have to garnish the plate. I'd have to put all the plates. It was like a fancy restaurant, so I had to have all the food in a certain order depending on how it was put in. So people had to put their orders in a certain sequence. And based on that sequence and how it appeared on the ticket allowed me to know where it belonged on the server tray, because that numbering system allowed the waiter to know who got what food, because it may not be the waiter. And the waiter shouldn't be expected to remember exactly who got everything. So this numbering system, did anybody know about this?
I did not. This is blowing my mind.
Yeah, I'm going to...
Is it like a clock? Kind of like a clock?
Yeah.
I worked in a shitty restaurant when I was younger. So.
Did you do that in your
there was
shitty
no
restaurant?
clocking or numbering?
Okay.
No.
Yeah, this was a 5-star restaurant.
Nobody helped
and
you do anything.
Yeah.
The way it worked is that you had to make sure that the
Long
garnish...
John Silver's does this. Okay.
No, this is this is a nice restaurant. So I had to make sure that the garnish and everything looked right on the plate. The plate looked immaculate, that the food looked nice, that I had to cut and prepare the garnishes. And then I would help get the appetizers and things ready. Everything had to be put on a table just right. Then it was my job to make sure that food got to you, the customer, in pristine condition, hot, with a smile, and in the right order, and all this stuff, right? So if there was any negativity in the kitchen, I was the one to quelch it, because I was the go-between. This is important for the story.
Okay.
This is important for what would you do part. So I had to be the go-between. The cooks, traditionally, if you've ever worked in a restaurant or been in the kitchen, they are the kings of the world, man. And they know it. So they treat everybody else like a little bitch. And I said we were going to do less profanity, and I'm the one. So I got along with the cooks. I knew that was the most important part. So I got along with them. And the wait staff were, some of these people were like scared of the cooks. So they knew they had to kind of go through me. So it kind of gave me a little bit of extra respect so that I could help them, because getting your food out right
now
was a big
they
deal.
were your little bitches.
That's right. Technically, I owned everybody in that place, right? But anyway, so I would get everything ready, and I hit it off with the cooks, man. I've never had I always got along good with the cooks, but I'd see them be completely maniacs to people, just make people cry, men and women, managers, everybody. And then I'd go back there and I'd joke with the guy, but it's because I was always there. I was in the trenches with them, We were like brothers, brothers and sisters, dude, in the trenches trying to get the food out. So I would help get stuff right. So people would come back and I'd be joking with everybody. I'd give people nicknames. So there was a guy's name, and gosh, I'm sorry I'm going to say it here on the podcast, but his name was Ron Fesco, right? And I would be like, Ron Fiasco, come get your order, right? And I'd give people like funny names, because he'd come back to the kitchen and I'd hear him getting his food ready, and he'd be like, he'd have his waiting staff, his order taker thing with all his orders written down, and he'd set it down. And he's like, oh, it's going to be okay. It's going to be all right. I got this. And I'd hear him talking to himself, and I was like, oh, this guy's losing his mind. So I used to give people nicknames based on what I saw, and I'd sometimes sing back there and stuff.
So you'd bully them.
Yeah, I bullied everybody. I tried to own everybody. I tried to do everything I could, and I loved it. And to this day, I've had some other jobs. To this day, I was born to be an expediter, dude. It was the best job I had ever done in my life, and I was so good at it. Managers would come back, and the cooks would tell the people who owned the restaurant, get the F out of the way and let Pierce just do his thing, right? And they would say that in front of me, and I'd be like, holy shit, I own this place right now. If I leave, this entire restaurant is just a shambles. So there's a reason I'm going in all this detail.
Oh, wow.
At the end of the night, you had to go around and get your tips from the wait staff. So you got paid an hourly rate, but you also got tips. And it was supposed to be a certain percentage. But in this nice restaurant, everybody knew they were supposed to tip above that percentage. But the only crappy and very unempowering thing was you had to go around and say, please, sir, may I have a tip, another? You know, so you'd have to ask for your tips. Yeah, you felt like that kid in that British movie. I can't remember it's the one where he's a beggar. You know, he has to beg for his food. So I just go around begging for my tips, and it would get awkward. And there was always one or two prima donnas, man, that would try to avoid the whole tipping situation. And they were usually the one I had to take care of the most during the night because they wouldn't get back there and get their food.
Okay. So you're saying you had to beg from tips from the waiters, not from the customers.
Yeah. Not the customers.
Yeah, it was like a
customers
shared
don't tip
tip.
me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So they wouldn't get in trouble if they didn't tip you out?
Well, that's the other dynamic, right?
That's a huge no.
That's another dynamic because you want to have a good relationship with these people. You're gonna all be in the trenches together. I've always felt like it's always better honey, right? You can get more bees with honey, whatever they say. Flies, how does that go? You guys know what I mean.
Yeah.
Don't ruin it. Don't mess
fly
with the
honeybees.
story. Yeah, something about that. The silver lining,
Birds
whatever.
and the bees.
So I was always trying to just get along, and there would always be, and I let a couple people skate. But I had to set the tone the next time. And what I would do is I would say, look, last night, I didn't want to hassle you. You were trying to get home. You didn't tip Pierce. So just giving you a heads up early before the beginning of the shift. This is what I was doing is I let them know I cut them some grace, right? I hooked them up. And that way that tip the next time should be even better. But I didn't like doing that, dude. I didn't like asking for my money. And
now you're going to pay me for protection from the cooks every day. It's like the mafia.
Yes,
Now you pay me for protection. This is how it works now.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
that's kind of how there was some other things.
Go in there with some.
So this is my question for you, Levin, is you've got a situation where it continues to be the same person. They do it anyway.
Oh.
Right? And you've got to deal with it. Now, just for context, it doesn't matter if it's a female or male, but I will tell you, it happened to be a female. And she kind of wielded everybody kind of did her bidding.
She was entitled.
They're always attractive in Pierce's store.
Well, I hate to. That's what I didn't want to say.
I know. You were skirting around it. You were skirting around it.
Farrah Fawcett was.
Yeah, it was like Farrah Fawcett, basically.
Kim Basinger,
And I think that unfortunately, sometimes you see that, not just with women, but I think people use whatever assets they may have to manipulate situations. And that was the case here. That was my perception. So anyway, that's what was going on. Management kind of likes you. Okay. So you got that, but they are even manipulated by her. So it's kind of a challenging thing, but that's your scenario. And one night you've got to deal with it. And I mean, she's into it for,
I did that same type of work in a shitty restaurant, but everyone had to be tipped out as well. And I never had to go through that scenario, but there's always like one or two people that you're really good buddies with there. You know, you just kind of like gel, you know, and you guys do well together. I would dime her out in front of other people because like the bartenders have to get tipped out or something, right?
Yep. Everybody does.
Like whoever else needs to get tipped out, I would dime her out in front of it and then have everyone else jump in to kind of like really let her have it.
That's a good plan.
Or maybe even like a manager or someone there and say, this isn't happening again. You've ripped me off twice now or however much.
Yeah. And it's interesting at what point do you use terms like rip me off? Because you're still, like I said, you
are getting ripped off.
Yeah, you are getting ripped off.
Yeah, she's stealing.
Yeah,
You're stealing your money.
Yeah, she's stealing from you. because you've got,
'Cause
like I said,
the whole restaurant, if people don't know, like it all works together. Like there's like all the parts work together and everybody knows that. So it's like the server might be getting tipped, but there's so much more that's going on behind the scenes. And that's why they have to tip other people out. It's like, it's like you got to share some of that because
like
they're not out dealing with the public.
You pay the server,
but they're working on their food.
So for the layman who hasn't worked in the restaurant industry before, I haven't worked in the restaurant industry. Say you leave a $15 tip for dinner.
Yeah.
Somebody like me, potentially, I just think, hey, good service by the waiter. They're getting $15.
She's got to drop half.
But that's actually, that
some of those
$15
places,
is actually like split multiple times between a lot of different people.
Some of those places, like they're only going to keep 50% of their tips because the other 50 are going to bartenders and the expediters. It just depends.
Cooks, do they get paid?
No, cooks get paid an actual wage.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It used to, what was cool about it is you did have a lot of power, but you also had a lot of responsibility, and then you had to go ask people to get paid. I enjoyed some of the vernacular, like 86 on what it was. One of the things that was really popular in that restaurant is we had clams, and we had these, they were
hush
potatoes.
Puppies?
No, potatoes cut open. This isn't
TGI Fridays?
Silvers, dude.
You're at TGI Fridays.
Yeah, they don't have expediters.
He was going to Long John Silver's route.
Long John Silver's.
Oh, shit. Expediters.
All right. Whose turn is it next?
That was funny, dude.
It was all right. Sorry. It's all right. So who wants, okay, Red, you said you've got one, so give these guys a chance. Give them a chance. Here's the hat. It's as far as I can reach with my hammy.
Oh, man.
Man, if everybody wants to send some good vibes to Pierce to Heroes of Humility.
I did a Pierce. I picked my own name.
Got me.
Damn, he's still laughing over there.
All right, I got Beige.
That's fucking funny.
Okay, all right.
I got Beige.
All right. All right. Game face on now. Let's go.
Beige.
This one will be short and sweet. Well, for the most part. I went on a cruise with some friends, and there was a couple couples and some single friends too. And we go to different ports. You leave one port and then you just bounce to other ports. It was kind of cool in Mexico. And, you would try to decide on what you would do because when you go off and port on a cruise, you're only limited to a certain amount of time. Some ports you might have had 5 hours. Others you might have 8 to 10 hours on the port, just depending on the schedule. I'd never been to this one city was Mazatlan before in Mexico. And that port, we were going to have, I think, 10 hours out on port. And I love it. I love the food and all that good stuff when we go out there. So I'm like thinking about restaurants, seafood, all this other good stuff. And our couple, that we went with, they were a little bit older, more experienced travelers. And they found out that there was this, newer hotel / timeshare place that they wanted to go see. And they were letting us know they did the right thing. And they're saying, hey, if you go, the whole scheme is you can tour this nice resort. They have a bar. They got to swim up. In Mexico, they have the bar in the pool. They'll shuttle you there and then they'll shuttle you back before the boat leaves the port. So it was like they were upfront with it. And the thing is like, what do? You're on port. You want to go have fun and go do some other experiences, but maybe now you have, as an adult, you've been through the timeshare experience.
I'm getting Pierce standing up out of the corner of my eye, distracting a little bit. But carry on.
What you get?
I guess what would you do if you're out on port and your friend tells you, yeah, you're going to go do this experience where you get free, all you can drink, all you can eat, but you're going to have to go through a timeshare experience. Would you do that?
Oh, yeah. Of course. And it's funny that this question comes to me because I actually, during my honeymoon, I actually took my wife to a timeshare presentation.
It was the same thing. So yeah, it was the same thing. It looked like a baller.
Yeah. And, we were just straight up with him when we got there. Like, look, we're just here for the gift. Like, we're not going to buy, I don't want to waste your time, but like, we're not going to be buying a timeshare. And they always start off with, oh yeah, no pressure. We're just going to pitch it here. We're no pressure. We're not like these other companies that pressure you into buying. We're cool, whatever. But you tell them no, like 4 or 5 times and eventually they start pressuring you a little bit.
No, and it did take, because we were kind of saying, we were young. We were just barely young 20s, and you're thinking you're going to buy a timeshare.
I'd be afraid
$1,500
that they wouldn't give me a ride back if I didn't buy a timeshare.
Oh yeah, but then you're kind of sitting in this room with this person, and they're like, Are you sure? Well, we can cut
Yeah.
you another deal. It's really
Well,
good where
yeah,
you can blah, 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 blah.
If we do this financing, then it's only like $150 a month, and you can afford that. And that's just 3 less mocha lattes a week. And it's just like, oh, okay, I don't want to do it. I told you here, you should have said that when I told you straight up that I was just here for a gift, if that wasn't cool, you should have said, all right, just bounce, dude, because we're not going to give you a gift if you're not even going to consider buying anything. But we were both here on the same wavelength. And I have to figure if you're a timeshare company, you're putting that on. I mean, what are the percentage of people that are actually buying timeshares that go to those? I would venture to guess probably less than 10%,
There's a few
right?
suckers.
Gotta
Well,
be, right?
but I always feel like at those two, you don't even know who's legit because there could be marks in the crowd that are like
pretending to buy.
yeah, this guy just bought a timeshare. Congratulations.
Well, look at all the
That's
money
awesome.
they're putting in
And
to
it's
just
like,
getting people
this
to go
dude-
there so
yeah.
they can sell to them.
Right, like
Must
this
be
dude
working.
didn't buy a timeshare. He's a friggin' actor, like he didn't buy a time, whatever. Like
Scammers.
that's the way my brain thinks. I'm always just like, oh, I don't trust that. You know what I mean? And probably not the best trait to have, but that's kind of what I think. But yeah, I mean, that was like, I think we got 2 tickets to. Like this whole 2 tickets to paradise. Yeah. Well, it was Hawaii, so it was paradise. But we got 2 tickets to like some big ranch in Hawaii where we like went on ATVs and went hiking, and it's where they film like Jurassic Park
yeah.
and like
That's
this
cool.
huge area. And I'll sit through like 2 or 3 hours of this BS thing. But I will say they pitch it so much that even if you do go in there and you're like, I'm never going to buy a timeshare, there is a piece of you that's, you know what? That's
Not a bad offer.
not a bad offer right there. And you're like, God, what are you doing? No.
Stick
So
to your guns.
Yeah. So you got to keep talking yourself out of that. But yeah, it's funny. Like I actually have done that. And, it's looking back on it, you're like, I can't believe I dragged my wife to a timeshare presentation on our honeymoon, but we were young, not making a whole ton of money. And it was something that was basically free. So why
Yeah.
not?
I feel bad. I was looking at your lips moving, but the entire time just thinking, man, I got my hamstring. I kind of pulled it. I'm like,
Wow.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
No, I was thinking what's interesting is that there's
Well, I saw you rubbing something out of the corner of my eye. and
it doesn't look like it's your hamstring.
Yeah, I was like, I hope it's his hamstring. I don't
you're
know.
used to people rubbing
But there's a little-
themselves when they're well, I was thinking there's whole businesses made around trying to get people out of timeshares. So this must be an effective. They must be getting tons of people into these locked into these contracts. that are
You're
really
right.
difficult
We've all
to
seen
get
the
out of, you know?
commercials that
Yeah.
timeshare.
Well, and how many times do you know somebody who's bought a timeshare and is like, dude, I love it. It's the
Yeah.
best decision I
No,
ever
it's
made.
It's always a
you
pain
know?
in the ass.
Yeah, I know. Like, so just like that real life experience, you're like, yeah, this is probably a good decision. But I'm not to. There may be some people out
All
there
right.
that like timeshares. I don't know, but
I'll go
generally
next.
speaking,
All right. Oh, and while he's picking his name, I'll tell you, I've seen businesses on this internet stuff that say they can get your name and address and all that out of, records that are all over the place. They're the same companies that are putting it there to begin with.
ooh,
Yeah.
that's why you don't give anybody your email.
Yeah.
Wow. Good
Ghost
job, Pierce.
email.
Yeah. All right. You got
Oh,
red.
here we go.
I got a work story, dude.
11 in red. Okay, here we go.
And this one was pretty, I thought I was a done deal after this. So back when I was on the team, blah, blah, blah. I know I talk about it all the time. Had to take some dangerous murderer guy to another country, across the Atlantic. This guy was like so dangerous that like his hands were cuffed, and we put this leg weight thing on him that we could lock on, so he wouldn't be able to run anywhere.
Did he have a
'cause-
mask like Hannibal Lecter?
Almost.
Hmm.
I got a story about that one another time. It won't be a what would you do, but that's a crazy one. But so this leg weight, and it almost looks like one of those gym weights. There's like a leather strap, whatever, but you can lock it so you can't take it off at all. It weighed like 10 pounds or something. So we go there and drop the guy off, and then we stay for a while and like a night or whatever, and then we're coming back. We have to go through airport security. Well, I had the leg weight in my bag, and this was a time when there was like heightened security all over the world at airports. It's not like right after 9/11 or anything, but at the time there was like, I don't know, everyone was weirded out. I take the leg weight in my carry-on because that's all we had were carry-ons. I'm going through the security thing, and this dude yells something, and all of a sudden like 10 guys come out with AK-47s in my face. I'm standing, and the guy that I was with had to go back and get his passport stamped, so he wasn't even there. So there was just me, and nobody spoke English.
Oh
And
man.
this is kind of like a third world type country,
Yeah.
and I have AK-47 being like the barrels, like they're hitting me in the face with it, and they're screaming at me, and I'm like trying to hold up my badge, my passport, and they're just hitting it out of my hand. And then they took it away, and I was just standing. I'm like, man, I'm done. Like, what would you do in that situation? I'll tell you how I got out of it.
Oh, wow. That's a good one, man.
After you poop your pants.
Yeah, you're kind of like, okay, squeeze, squeeze.
Yeah.
No, and I mean, what do you say? You can't communicate because it's a foreign language you don't speak. God, I'd probably just stand there and wait till something happened. That's a tough one, dude. That's a tough one.
Yeah.
I
kind of didn't leave a lot of room for you.
No, I guess I would just be like, hopefully we've all been in those scenarios where like you just give it a minute and people will realize they don't know what the hell you can't understand them and they're not getting the result they want. So they keep trying different
Their
things.
head guy who wore like a full-bird colonel rank and had a green beret on, he spoke a little bit of English. So it's like there was a little bit of communication that was going on.
When you're done, so we'll all provide our thoughts on this after, but
yeah, no, I guess I would just kind of, in my mind, I'm trying to think of it as like, I'm actually there. Yeah, you just kind of like maybe do the whole facial, I don't know, kind of look like, I don't know. That's a tough one, man.
Yeah.
We talked about before, like crisis rehearsal, there's a moment where you have to decide, okay, what's the situation analysis here? Can I win this? And what is winning? In this situation, what is a win scenario?
Not getting shot in the face.
A win scenario in that situation is not getting killed.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is where the movies do a disservice to these types of jobs because such things as misconceptions people have about when and how, we don't get all this isn't heroes of humility, seriousness time, but when you pull your gun, when you don't, all these types of things. But can you win if you try to employ any kind of force? And I'll tell you, unfortunately, and it's not always effective because it's unfortunate the way the human mind works for assailants is when they see a smile or a laugh or something like that, it's a sign of weakness and they feel like they got you. But when they already got you, sometimes it's a universal communicative product to use at your discretion and your disposal that'll work is humor. And I'm sorry because it's not a foolproof plan, but my mind would start to brainstorm in trying to make somebody laugh. I've been in some similar things, but I'll say this. I've done this with my hands before, kind of put them out, and I do it real slowly because it adds to the comical effect. And I go like this, put my hands out real slow like this, and then I do one of these. I look at my right hand, I look at my left hand, and then I look back. So, but you don't want to be looking like you're being aggressive. You're still just being cooperative. And then you do one of these. And you start to twitch, and then you do a little roll, a little break dance. Now, here's the thing. If you're trying to be a little bit funny and it doesn't go good, at least you're probably not going to get waxed. At least they might just think, well, this guy, he's just not that funny. But if it's clear that you're trying to be funny and you're not trying to be a wise guy, which is different, then hopefully you don't piss somebody off. But these guys, they want to see two things. They want to see that they've won, number one, and then they want to see that you are respectful of them. They always want respect. Even these idiots, who clearly have the advantage in this. So that's just an idea. What that comes to, I mean, this is just a brainstorming thing, but it's like crisis rehearsal, and that sucks, dude. You're in that situation because that's a Bush League situation to be in at your agency. I mean, it's just the way it is sometimes.
Well, and you're in a foreign country. They just don't have sometimes a level of training. I mean, homeboy probably just got off of bagging groceries and they're like, hey, you need a shift at the airport.
Right.
You have no idea.
Oh, no, these were soldiers.
Yeah.
They're wearing soldier uniform.
Yeah.
And but you could tell they didn't have
the type of training that this country has.
Yes. So, yeah. So, no, it like took me by surprise. And how fast it all happened, I guess because the weight was like, it had lead or something. I don't know. Or it's all metal inside.
Oh, they figured it was explosive or something.
They immediately thought I'm trying to smuggle a bomb on a plane or something. So they all came out and these guys, the way they were up pointing their barrels in my face and like hit me like
Oh, wait. I'm sorry. I thought it was a rip crew trying to take your
No.
prisoner away and trying
no.
to free him.
No.
Because I thought he made a note.
We got rid of the prisoner. This is
I'm
the next
sorry.
day when I'm coming.
Okay.
Trying to-
I wouldn't have done what I said in that scenario.
Oh,
That's different. Okay.
breaking
Never
into-
mind. Sorry,
yeah,
Go
okay.
ahead. I thought
Kidnappers.
his buddies were coming to help him out of the situation.
So,
Sorry. Stupid.
so we don't have any authority in another country.
Yeah.
You know, and we know that. But one thing that we always would talk about with each other, we always act like we did, you know, like,
Oh, because maybe these people don't know because they don't.
because they're not as well trained and they don't know like
Rules.
what's going on. I immediately started thinking, how long am I going to be in this prison for?
Yeah.
Will they be able to get me out? And who's going to tell?
Will they try
my
to
wife?
get you out?
Yeah.
Will they do
My
anything
ex-
to help you?
Yeah. So, I wanted to be like assertive, but not aggressive, but I didn't do it at anybody with a gun. I did it at the guy with the beret because he wasn't holding a gun, but he was in charge of all of them. So that's who, like, as soon as they hit the badge out of my hand, I just took a step towards him. And I'm like, no, I'm like, you know, I'm trying to act like I'm the man and they need to listen and stuff. It kind of got the guys with the guns to back up a little bit. And then it became like this argument, you know,
Just between you and one guy.
me and the one guy
Yeah.
and the guy, but the guys with the guns, like, I didn't feel like I was going to be shot anymore.
Mhm.
Like that kind of like they were like, what, who the fuck is this guy? You know, like they backed up a little bit and they gave me, you know, a few feet of room at least.
Yeah, because everybody you make eye contact with is now a factor. If you don't make eye contact with them and you just look at the one
I acted
guy,
like the rest of them didn't exist
Nice.
and I was on this guy.
Yeah.
And that was it.
it's brilliant.
And I got really loud, you know, I didn't get like aggressive, like walk towards him or act, you know, cause I obviously didn't want to get shot, but I got really loud and try to act like I was the authority. And then the guy, you could tell he started to like question himself. And then out of nowhere, it was magical. This little girl that was a flight attendant on one of the things, walked up and she must have knew all of them or something. But she walked up and speaking in their foreign language and she started like waving their handkerchief and like hitting them in the faces and stuff and screaming all this stuff. Then got in a big argument with him. And I just stood there and watched the show, man. I'm just sitting there with my eyes all wide. I'm like, this might work out in my favor. And it did, dude.
Nice.
All of a sudden they all walked away.
Nice.
And the guy goes, well, you can't take that. I was like, take it, throw it away, take it home, do whatever you want with it.
You can't take what?
The leg
Lock.
weight
Oh,
thing.
okay.
I was like, we
Yeah.
don't want it anymore. I'll
And
buy a
that
new-
way
I'll
you
buy a
kind
new
of
one.
gave him something too.
Yeah. So he took that.
Concession.
Gave him a little victory there.
But
Yeah.
then, so I get back to we're about to get on the airplane and I realized this dude stole my sweatshirt.
You let the sweatshirt go.
He stole my sweatshirt. And the guy I was with was like, don't do it, dude.
Yeah.
Don't do it. I fucking did it. I ran
it
back
back?
over there. Yeah. And he's sitting at his little desk with his little green beret on.
Wearing your damn sweatshirt.
And my sweatshirt was sitting on the chair right next to him, dude. And he looked at me and I go, give me my fucking sweatshirt. And he grabbed it and he just threw it at me.
Nice.
And I was like, I felt,
Damn.
That is the nice thing. The F word is everybody
I
knows
know,
that
you-
one around the world. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter what language.
get
when you
aggressive
drop
with it,
that,
man, you
they're
put
like,
some-
"Oh, this guy means business here."
yeah.
Everybody knows that
Well,
word.
in the back of that story, I mean, what's happening is that I'm just sorry. I mean, you're going to hear how much I love this country when we talk. Occasionally, it's going to come up. And what you have behind you is a lot of red, white, and blue stuff. And even though you're in another country, you don't have all the tools and you don't have the authorities, they know in the back that's there. And I always feel like that's a little something. I'm not saying that's always going to get the job done, but that's part of the reason.
Whether there or anywhere else, nobody really knows who you are or what authority
Yeah.
you have. So that's
Yeah.
why you try to kind of play off of that when we were in those scenarios, those situations,
Yep.
and that one was really bad.
That was such an inspirational speech by Pierce.
It was.
He's
I'm
wearing
sorry.
American flag shorts. I almost saluted his shorts right here. Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't condone anybody else wearing red, white, and blue on their shorts, but it's okay for me to do it, and I try to do it with respect and pride.
Because I am a real American. Sing it, Hulk.
I wasn't really happy with the way Hulk Hogan got kind of wound up and entangled in the patriotic process back in the 80s, but because he's kind of a mess. But I think it's kind of funny that he would say, take your vitamins and all this and that, and the guy's doing all kinds of weird, goofy stuff.
Yeah, more than vitamins.
Anyway, that was a good one, dude.
All right. Well, I think I'm
Yeah.
the last one,
Yeah,
and
the
you're the
last
last one. So
Oh, I
there's no
am.
need to pick a name
I guess
because
not.
you're the last
Yeah,
one.
It'd be more exciting that way, but
Well, you're obviously, oh my gosh, I got Pierce. Wow, look at that. That's crazy.
Yeah. I win.
All right, so this is, I was racking my brain trying to think of a scenario, and I don't think I'm as good at this as the rest of you guys are, but
Dude, you are.
here it goes. Anyway, so what would you do if, say you're at home working or something, you're by yourself, the missus is gone, and all of a sudden there's a knock on the door. You open the door, and it's a female, and she's telling you, I'm sorry to bother you. Can I come inside and use your restroom? And you're at home by yourself, and it's a female. Would you allow her inside? It's an emergency for some reason. Say she's out walking her dog or something around the neighborhood, and she's got to use the restroom. You want to help out, but you're at the house by yourself, and it's a female by herself. What would you do?
I want to give a prediction before you answer.
Go ahead.
Because I know Pierce.
Yeah.
We're buddies for a long time.
Yep.
So
Pierce is a caretaker.
go ahead and take that one, Pierce. What would you do in that situation?
Well, I know maybe this will surprise you then because she's not getting in, and this is one of the the situation, dude.
She's doing the pee-pee dance and on your porch.
I've had people, but see,
He'd
the
throw
other part, and you know this part about Pierce is that unfortunately I'm always like, not today, not today,
Not
right?
today, Tammy.
Well, I figure with Pierce, there's multiple
There's
issues.
a lot of layers.
always issue.
Germs is one, right?
Yeah.
Germs is an issue. I'm
That's
sure.
that's kind of way in the back, but I've got special screen door that we put up in the last year, and I don't even, you really can't even see through it. You can't see on the other side. Even before I had that screen door up there, I looked somebody right in the, and you know how I said I kind of wave at the person before I get
Not
to the
today.
grocery store from like 500 feet away, just to make sure they know. I don't let people get too many into the weeds with their words. I just say, sorry, I got to go. There only very occasionally have even presented an explanation or an excuse as to why, but I'll say no. Even if I've assessed the person and tried to like use kind of an ocular pat down of this situation, it doesn't matter. Unfortunately, there's been scenarios where people have been in bad situations because that's exactly a dynamic that criminals will use. They'll have their girlfriend or whoever do something, and while they're waiting off in the wings, and the next thing you know, you get flanked and you've got a whole scenario. And I'm not saying that's necessarily here, but I don't let anybody in. I mean, you've got to get a really formal invitation before you come through. You guys all have got formal invitations, and
Background checks.
yeah, background checks and everything. So, it's just not going to work. I'm sorry. And hey, the plumbing's not working. Sorry, can't do it. I'm in a meeting.
Stranger danger.
What about if she says, I'm running from a axe-wielding maniac right now. Let me inside your house.
Yeah, my boyfriend's trying to kill me.
I hand her a toy gun and a cap gun, and I say, hey, this is a real. I don't tell her it's a.
Don't
toy gun.
bleed on my
I
porch.
say, here, take this.
Keep it off my sidewalk.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. There's no story that you're getting in my house.
Wow.
Sorry.
I thought,
Dude,
I thought he was going to let her in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Superman would have saved the day, dude.
Yeah.
I try to help people, but on the outside, this is a sanctuary, man. And once you get this, just like the same thing, if you ever get abducted, do not get in a car. What your odds and your risk factor goes way up once you get in the car. Do everything you can to stay out of the car. Same thing when somebody comes in your house, dude. They could be casing something. I'm sorry. I have a skeptical mind when it comes to
I'll
certain
die
things.
before
Yeah.
anybody makes me do anything.
Yeah.
Well,
Exactly, dude.
Would
Might
you-
as well die. Don't get in the car. Die on the outside of the car.
so you wouldn't even ask one or two, right? That question wouldn't even be asked to that person.
Is that
Number one or
No,
number
I
two?
asked that for you guys. Not for a
no,
complete
yeah.
stranger. There's
My
no,
house is
it's a
allergic
mute
to
Yeah,
you.
it's a moot point.
That's
huh?
a mute point, man.
Yeah.
There's no point.
Wow.
Well, see, my issue with a situation like that is A, like you said, it could be a setup for something else, potentially. B, the dynamic now in society, you may want to do the right thing as a man, but now you're
opening that
now
door,
you're
dude.
opening that door, and there's no, like, they can say whatever they
Proverbial.
want to say, and you can't defend yours. It's a he said, she said type situation, and it's just bad, So, like, that would be my primary concern, actually, is that, like, this person could say anything they want to now at this point because I've allowed them into my house out of the kindness of my own heart to let them use the bathroom because it's an emergency or something. But then they twist it, and now my life's flipped upside down because,
Mhm.
So, and then the criminal aspect would be probably secondary to that.
All right,
So,
Pierce, I got one for you. Very similar. okay, I had this scenario happen to me, so now I'm kind of makes me wonder what you would say now. Very similar, but you're at a gas station, you're getting gas, and a lady looks nice, whatever. She says, "Hey, can I borrow your phone?"
Let's say she's one of the attractive ladies from Pierce's stories.
Oh, this is Farrah Fawcett then, yeah. So Farrah Fawcett comes up to you and she's like, "Hey, can I borrow your phone? I need to make a phone call. My phone's dead, or I lost my phone and my car won't start. I need to call somebody to come." Would you let them use your cell phone?
Unfortunately, I've actually been in this situation, so it's a kind of quick, easy answer for me. It was on an airplane. I may have talked about it before. I'll save it for another time. But I just said, it's a work phone. Sorry, no can do.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Oh,
now,
wow.
if it was at a gas station and I could clearly tell she was in distress or something, but I actually did see somebody pulling a fast one because I saw them do it to more than one car, and I could see they had somebody else in the wings waiting. I look for that stuff. And if it all looks copacetic to me and she really needs help, what I would do is I say, "Who do you need me to call? I'll call somebody." And if she wants me to call, it would have to depend too on who I'm calling. And she better have a clear answer as to who, where they are, and that kind of thing.
I was in that same situation once, and it seemed a little shady. And I was like, "All right, what's the number?" And they gave it to me. I just put on speakerphone, and I just held my phone.
There you go.
I'm like, "Go ahead, say what you got to say."
Yeah.
Right.
Unfortunately,
Like,
that's-
and then
you
that was it.
don't get privacy
Yeah,
if I'm giving you the privilege
Yeah.
of using my
Well, I'm not
phone.
going to give you my phone so you can run away and jump in
Right.
a car.
Well, there's
you know,
so many
nowadays.
scams now with phones. You can call some number, and then once you have that number, you make a call somewhere, then there's other things that can be done. And so you got to be careful with that kind of stuff.
See, we've come full circle. The what would you do scam,
Yeah,
right? That
that's a
kind
good
of
one, dude. You
ties
really
back to
have.
the beginning.
No, because
of
I
this.
honestly
It's a
let them use my phone, but I felt like it was okay. But same
9
thing, you
times out
kind
of
of
10, you'll probably be okay. but
afterwards,
it
I was
only
like
takes the
thinking,
one
oh,
time.
now they have my number. Like,
Exactly. I feel weird about doing my personal phone. But like when I had my work phone, I didn't care. It's like,
I'll
whatever.
tell you, you prepare and you crisis rehearse or whatever for 100% of the time for the 1% chance when it's going to be needed and necessary for you to have a step 1, 2, and 3 in mind already. And that's what you're doing. You're just being prudent to try to avoid unnecessary risk. And people think when they watch these movies, oh, yeah, Tom Cruise never gets a hamstring, jumps out of things and does all this stuff. But that's not the way you're really supposed to handle real situations where you're trying to accomplish an objective safely and carefully. You're supposed to be mitigating risk. And whoever does that the best until it's called for you guys to just go throw hooks or whatever, then that's when the violence. But before that, it's the practice and the training and all these things that you do to make sure that you have minimized the risk and you have the advantage.
Now, I know we've brought up Tom Cruise multiple times on
Too
this
many,
podcast.
that poor guy.
Tom, if you're listening, feel free to call in and defend your honor here.
I think people are
We'd
kind
love
of,
to have you on the show.
he's, it's funny. I mean, who knows what he's really like, but the concept of somebody always trying to do their best and trying to achieve the best result they can, I can identify with that, man.
Oh.
And that's one of the things that I think is cool because you don't have any idea about him, but he seems to have that going for him.
And he's kind of got that signature look when he's running in all his movies, And then when you were
Blown out hamstring.
when you were
with it?
out there blowing out your fucking hammy.
Yeah. Well, that's edited.
I was like, oh look, he's
Yeah.
a bit Tom Cruise esque.
I think the blown out hammy portion's edited out. It doesn't make it off the cutting room floor there.
They get
at
hurt
the,
in those movies. I mean, you just, cause when you're putting yourself all out there, it's going as hard. You can't just do it half-assed, You've got to go
I think
all
he's
the
been
way.
hurt in his last couple of movies doing
Yeah.
stunts.
Yeah. Yeah, you're going to get hurt, dude, if you're
I
trying.
mean, when you're a badass, that just kind of comes with it, right, Pierce?
I mean, well, I'm glad you said it. If I said it, it sounds like
yeah,
a jerk thing to
exactly.
say. So you're going all the way to LA, huh?
Yeah, man.
All right, dude.
I
Well,
hate to do this to you guys.
no, it's all right. We're glad you can make it this morning. And
It is good to be here and see y'all. I didn't want to miss it. So,
yeah, dude.
But I'm out.
No, it's good that-
but
Well,
Love you, but I'm out.
do
Peace
you
out,
want us to do
bitches.
the next? Should we go ahead and do now? Red, it's up to Red and we'll let you go. But
No, I'm
If
probably
not-
about the same.
we can do it.
I'm probably about the same.
so you're willing? You want to come back then?
I'll have to come back.
come
Do you
back.
want, well, we'll talk about this
we can
off
do
air,
one in
but
a week.
We got another
like
one
a week
coming
or
up.
two or something. Like we can all, it's up to you guys.
Well, this week I have
Right.
off, so this
Oh,
is not
yeah.
podcast.
There's always
stuff, so
tomorrow. Yeah, there's tomorrow. If you
And
come back
we'll
from
talk
LA
about
this
some.
afternoon.
I'll be back.
this afternoon or something.
We'll talk about some exciting new developments that we may have coming up that we discussed a little bit off air.
Well, beige is
It is very intriguing.
beige. What's really awesome? Beige.
Don't give it all away, man. That's a
Okay.
tease,
All
you know.
right,
It's
that's a tease. Okay,
yeah.
so that's enough said. Enough said. All right.
I'm going to start working on that on Wednesday.
Oh,
Okay.
nice.
We got some stuff
So
in the works.
I'll get a
guys.
hold of you guys.
All right.
We appreciate people that have stuck in there with us, maybe even from the beginning. I don't know, humanitarians, heroes, whatever they might be
Heroes.
called. But we appreciate you listening, listeners. And thanks again for tuning in. We'll be doing another show coming soon. And it's probably going to be on a topic that has to do with what you used to do as a kid that you don't do anymore because you're smarter, quote unquote. So it may be smart, but it may be that you're missing out too. So anyway, we'll deal with that. Thanks for listening. This is Pierce signing off with
Beige.
Red.
11.
take care, guys. Be cool, be kind.